Hi, welcome to.
Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
In New York, I merely rock, hiding in my.
Before the Constitution, there was a very problematic document before it. This was called the Articles of Confederation, which was America's first constitution, and it gave Congress the power to govern foreign affairs, conduct war, and regulate currency. However, in reality, these powers were sharply limited because Congress had no authority to enforce taxation, regulate commerce, or even request money or troops from the states. There was also no president or judicial branch. Soon after America won its independence from Great Britain with its 1783 victory in the American Revolution, it became increasingly evident that the young republic needed a strong central government in order to remain stable. In 1786, Alexander Hamilton, a lawyer and politician from New York, called for a constitutional convention to discuss the matter. The Confederation Congress invited all 13 states to send delegates to a meeting in Philadelphia. On May 25, 1787, the Constitutional Convention opened in Philadelphia Independence Hall, where the Declaration of Independence had been adopted 11 years earlier. There were 55 delegates in attendance representing all 13 states except Rhode Island, which refused to send delegates because they were a little pussy. A sexy human being named George Washington was selected as president of the convention by a unanimous vote. After intensive debate which continued throughout the summer of 1787 and at times threatened to derail the proceedings, they developed a plan that established three branches of national government. The first article or branch is the legislative branch. The two houses of Congress are established in the first article and describes how its main purpose is to create laws. The second branch is the executive branch. This deals with the powers of the president, his cabinet, and his powers as commander-in-chief. The third and final branch is the judicial branch. This branch is comprised of the Supreme Court and other federal courts, and Article 3 defines its purpose, which is to interpret the law. A system of checks and balances was also added to ensure no single branch would have too much power. The Bill of Rights was also added later so anti-federalists, which were people who opposed the Constitution, would ratify or approve of the Constitution. The Founding Fathers foreshadowed that the Constitution would need to be changed later in the future to adapt to the modern era. So they implemented the amendment process, which after a proposed amendment makes it through Congress, it must be ratified by 3/4 of the states. There were three major compromises made during the series of debates: the Great Compromise, 3/5 Compromise, and the Electoral Compromise. The Great Compromise was established due to the Virgin Plan and the New Jersey Plan. Both plans led to the Great Compromise, which proposed a bicameral legislature, equal representation in the upper house of representatives, and population-based representation in the lower house. Many northern delegates believed that southern states wouldn't join the Union if the issue of slavery was mentioned in the Constitution. For the purpose of taxation and representation, it was decided that slaves would be counted as 3/5 of a person. Finally, the Electoral College, which compromised that a body of representatives from every state in the United States would formally cast votes to elect the president and vice president. By September 1787, the convention had drafted the final text of the Constitution, which consisted of some 4,200 words. On September 17th, George Washington was the first to sign the document. Of the 55 delegates, a total of 39 signed, and these were called Federalists. Anti-Federalists believed in a weak federal government, while the Federalists who supported the Constitution believed in a strong federal government. James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, with the assistance from John Jay, wrote a series of essays to persuade people to ratify the Constitution. The 85 essays, known collectively as the Federalists, detailed how the new government would work and were published in 1787. Beginning on December 7, 1787, 5 states, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut, ratified the Constitution in quick succession. However, some states like Massachusetts refused to sign the document because it did not reserve undelegated powers to the states and lacked the protection of basic freedom rights. Now that the federal government can tax its states, they decided to tax whiskey, and it did not sit well with the states. George Washington, as president, had to send troops to Pennsylvania to end the Whiskey Rebellion.